Okay, good. Good day, good day. Welcome to another episode of Stay On Topic. It is I, Tevin Radicraze Campbell, and I'm here to give you more opinions and information from my head that will not help you in your everyday life. Welcome. So, the initial idea for this video was to just kind of talk about Avengers Age of Ultron and why it's such a polarizing movie in the MCU. By the way, I'm going to be calling it just Ultron from now on because I don't like wasting my syllables. But it kind of turned into something bigger the more I wrote notes about it. It kind of turned into me more comparing it to its predecessor, which was the Avengers, which came out in 2012. Now, we've had a lot of time to kind of sit on these movies. Avengers is coming up on its 10-year anniversary next year in 2022 to remind me how long I've been out of high school. And I believe Ultron came out in 2015, so it's coming up on its 7-year anniversary. So these movies have been out a little while. Now, it may be surprising for some of you, but upon first watch, I enjoyed Age of Ultron more than I enjoyed the original Avengers movie in 2012 on first watch. As time went on, as you might suspect, no, you probably didn't suspect it, I still like Ultron more. And I started thinking to myself, why does my opinion differ so greatly from the masses, as we call them, everybody that's not me? Because you can go on the internet, you can go anywhere, and kind of the general consensus is that Avengers is a superior movie. And I don't really feel that way. And so I just wanted to kind of dive a little deeply in it and kind of compare these movies head to head, since they have the same director, they have the same core cast, they are literally part of the same series. So why are they so different? Let's see. So first things first, with Avengers 1, I don't know if this is a heavily had opinion, but for me, Avengers 1 does not look like a big budget movie. I'm sorry. The lighting looks super strange to me, and it kind of looks like a movie that was made for TV. I can't explain it. I'm sorry. I don't know how to explain it. Like, the lighting is kind of weird. Everything going on just kind of looks like it doesn't have any studio flair to it. And that's what I think when I watch this movie. I feel like this movie was made for TV almost. And I don't get that feeling when I watch Age of Ultron. The lighting looks better. They use different types of filters and things to convey emotion. It looks like they used the giant budget that they had for that movie, for Ultron. Another thing I compared is the introduction scenes for both movies. I kind of put myself back in 2015 and 2012, looking at the introduction of these movies. On first watch, how do the movies engage you, right? So, Avengers 1 is a little underwhelming for me. I remember in 2012 when I first saw the movie, obviously packed theater, everybody's hyped because this is the first time we're seeing something like this. Having the beginning of the movie be Loki coming out of the portal with the scepter or whatever, which was somewhat foreshadowed at the end of one of the other movies. I believe it was the post-credit scenes from Thor. And him just taking out a bunch of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents and taking control of Hawkeye, who we literally don't know. And Nick Fury not seeing any army, not seeing Thanos, not seeing any, just horrible big bad, just Loki. And him being like, you know what, we need a team to deal with this. And then the title card coming out was kind of underwhelming to me. I expected something a little bit bigger, something higher scale, or something just completely off the wall insane for Nick Fury to get to that conclusion that, like, okay, we need to use this quote unquote Avengers initiative because this is too much for any one person to deal with. It's like, well, I mean, I know you don't personally know Thor at this point, but he literally dealt with Loki by himself already. So I don't see the point in assembling the Avengers for this threat. And that continues to be an ongoing problem for me in Avengers 1, where throughout most of the movie, I'm thinking to myself, why are y'all assembled? Because I don't feel like this is a big enough threat for the Avengers to come together, right? And then we look at Ultron. The movie kicks off at a super high note with the Avengers storming this castle for that same scepter that Loki had at the beginning of Avengers 1. They're taking out all these soldiers, they're having fun, they're cracking jokes, and it's just fun. It's awesome. They have the little money shot where all the Avengers are on screen in action in slow motion, and it's fun. It is so much fun. Like, the minute you see all of this going on, all the Avengers in action after not seeing them in 3 years, you're just immediately clicked on, and you're just engaged into this movie. And then after that, after they have the successful mission, we get to just watch the Avengers literally chill out. They're just chilling, they're having fun, they're drinking, they're playing games. Black Widow is flirting with Hulk, which is kind of out of nowhere, but like, they're just in chill mode. And that is really refreshing to see. Them just being themselves outside of costume and just interacting with each other casually, which we don't get to see much in Avengers 1. And so, off the top, Ultron kind of has a better engaging introduction to me. Now, if you have any hateful tweets already ready for me at this point, go ahead and send them to me at Radicraze so I can ignore them to let you know that I care about them. That was just the introduction. Now, when we're talking about the body of the movie, these are the complaints and the criticism about Ultron where I completely understand because they are valid. This middle portion of Ultron screams that's not right, screams studio trifling. The studio been messing around with the movie because it does not flow properly at all. We have all these disjointed scenes. Well, you know what? Pause. I'm moving too fast ahead. Before we get to like the middle, we have an excellent scene to kick off the actual plot of the movie. After Ultron is born, Ultron surfs the web, he sees Twitter, he sees Reddit, he sees God knows how many porno sites, and he realizes that the human race needs to go extinct, which is fair. And he possesses one of these torn up robots, and he gives this super creepy soliloquy to the Avengers and attacks them at the party. James Spader is amazing as Ultron, and that scene, him just telling him what he thinks of the human race and what he thinks of the Avengers, sets the tone for the movie amazingly, and it makes you feel like he is the threat that he's supposed to be, and that he is the villain that you really want to see on screen because of how menacing he sounds and how menacing he looks as this torn up robot. After that, however, things get very dicey because they find Ultron, they go fight Ultron for a little bit, and Tony Stark kills Ultron's first main body like pretty easily. Like, it isn't a long scuffle at all. They fly around and shoot beams at each other, and he blows up Ultron's main body. Obviously, he can make more and does make more, but it's kind of takes some of the wind out of your sails, and it's like, oh, okay, he can already just get blown up. The twins, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, are in the mix at this point. They're helping Ultron because they hate Tony, because 90% of the MCU villains exist because they hate Tony. And after that, Hulk versus Iron Man in the giant, Hulkbuster. The giant Hulkbuster suit is amazing. It's fun. It makes sense. And it makes more sense than the Hulk fight in the first Avengers movie, which we'll get to that in a minute, to me. He gets his mind possessed by Scarlet Witch, and he's already kind of unhinged because it's Hulk. And that is more than enough to send him into a blind rage. And after that, things just get kind of crazy. Tony's doing his own thing. Steve, Captain America, is out doing his own thing. Thor is like in a random puddle of water, and he's like, oh, I see the Infinity Stone, so now we can have phase 3 and people know what's going on. That's a horrible accent. But yeah, everybody's just kind of doing stuff. And Hawkeye is with his family, and his family's just like, hey, you didn't get really any character development or screen time in Avengers 1. So you need to get out there and you need to do some stuff. And he's like, you think so? And they're like, yeah, you're a family man. And yeah, it's just a whole bunch of crap going on, really. The plot's all over the place. Nothing is really explained, especially the most damning one is the Thor scene, because it sets the stage for the entire future of the Infinity Saga, and it's not even explained very well. So that really hurts this movie. Where on the other hand, Avengers plays it very safe with their body of the movie. They kind of go with the very generic team up, having clashing egos. But they do it safely, like in a good way, where they know you'll like it. It's not anything amazing, but it's not bad. It's good. We have the Avengers meeting each other for the first time. Tony and Cap and Thor fight in the forest. That's fun. They all meet up on the helicarrier, and they have Loki in tow and the scepter, and it's like causing them to argue or something, and they're all arguing and they're bickering, and there's some really good lines in that bickering, especially between Cap and Tony, which is foreshadowing a lot of their character development for the rest of the Infinity Saga. Love that every time. But then it turns into the helicarrier getting attacked, and then Bruce Banner turning into the Hulk and destroying everything and getting a fight with Thor. Now, this just is kind of weird to me, just because at the end of the Incredible Hulk movie, it's kind of teased that Bruce Banner has gained control of the Hulk. So it's really weird when you get to the very next movie after that, and he turns into Hulk. There's no mind control or anything going on like with Hawkeye, and he's just trying to kill Black Widow. And then he fights with Thor, which is a really cool fight, by the way, Thor and Hulk, but it is just kind of weird. It seems like it's just being done for the fans because that would be cool to watch, and it was. But narratively, it doesn't make sense to me. And again, I can't help but wonder through the meat of this movie, why are the Avengers assembled? Because Cap and Tony are more than enough to detain Loki, and they just kind of keep him in his cell until Hawkeye and the other mind control people come and save him. So it's like, dude, Loki is a kind of guy who is devious. He's a trickster. He makes look at my grammar, makes an amazing anti-hero. But villain, he doesn't really hit all the right notes as a straight up villain, because I don't believe him. Even in his basically origin story in the first Thor movie, you don't really believe that Loki is a villain, because he gives you every reason to believe that he can do better. He can be a better person. So you don't sit here and look at him like, oh, he's gonna cause a lot of trouble in the future. You just see like a child that wants attention, that wants to feel like he's loved, and he's just kind of straying off the wrong path, which ends up being true. 2 different times. Spoilers, if you've seen the Loki movie, they literally rip Loki out of this timeline, the first Avengers movie, and he ends up becoming a good guy with a conscience by the end of the 6 episode show. Loki was always meant to be either an anti-hero or a good guy, period. He doesn't fit the villain role. So it's very hard for me to be invested in a guy that isn't meant to be a villain at his core. So moving on to the end of the movies. For Avengers 1, the ending is what hit it home for me that this movie was always going to play it safe as a summer blockbuster. This movie was not trying to do something that no one else had ever done. It met that qualification just by existing as an Avengers movie in 2012 with great actors, great casting. And that was kind of it. The entire end of Avengers 1 is Bruce Banner showing up and being like, hey, I can control the Hulk now. Of course you can. And everyone coming together at the last minute because some guy, Agent Coulson, that they met 30 minutes ago got killed, apparently. I don't know. I have never watched the Shield show, so I don't know what's going on with him. But as far as we're concerned, we're going to say he's dead. And that got everybody to say, maybe we should stop bickering and team up against Loki, even though it only takes one of us to stop him. So they do. Loki releases an army of aliens, and the good guys fight the army of aliens and then send a nuke into space, blow up their home ship, win, and go eat out. That's the entire ending, summarized. And I'm rambled to hell with explaining things. So if I can explain the entire ending of the movie in 20 seconds, it's not much to talk about. It's really not. This movie, I feel like the ending doesn't really have stakes. Never did I feel like the heroes were in trouble at the end of Avengers 1. Never did I feel like, oh man, like Loki is such a good, devious villain. Like, I finally get it. This is why the Avengers got assembled to fight Loki. I never felt that. I just enjoyed watching the team ups. I enjoyed watching the team attacks. I enjoyed watching the bantering. But the final battle itself, that's all it was. It was just stupid summer blockbuster fun, which is fine, but it's a little different with Ultron. After all of these scattered plot pieces start coming together in Ultron, again, this is not excusing the crap that was in the middle, because no, it does not flow well. Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver find out that Ultron wants to destroy the planet. Shocker. Oh my god, cannot believe he's evil. Okay. The Avengers steal Ultron's perfect body that he's creating out of vibranium from Wakanda. Shout out to Black Panther, rest in peace Chadwick Boseman. And they give it Jarvis's AI, conscience, whatever you want to call it, and it becomes Vision, this completely different android character. How did Thor know that they needed to bring Vision alive just from sitting in the pool water and seeing Infinity Stones? I don't know. It doesn't make sense. But it happened. Okay? They're not getting a pass for that. It's kind of stupid, but Vision's pretty cool. So, they all suit up for the final battle. They go to Sokovian Accords. And they go fight Ultron and an army of Ultron. Sounds familiar, right? The Avengers versus another army. Now here's the difference. The Avengers were fighting this army in New York. That's basically it. They're fighting an army in New York. That's the entire plot of the end of Avengers. Ultron, on the other hand, they're fighting a team of Ultrons and Ultron himself, who is a combatant, where Loki really isn't. Loki is more of a trickster. He's not really a fighter. Ultron is a fighter, just not an impressive one like he should have been, I feel like. And they're fighting Ultron on this city that is thousands and thousands of miles in the sky that Ultron is planning to drop down onto the planet to exterminate human life, and there are still civilians in this city. That alone adds layers to this ending, this final battle. You have to save civilians and keep them from getting hurt as much as possible, on top of fighting Ultron and his minions and making sure none of them escape, so Ultron can't keep basically cloning himself. And then on top of that, even with those two things to worry about, you still have to figure out, what are we going to do about this city flying in the sky? Because if this bad boy hits the ground, we're in trouble. Like, everybody's going to die, basically. Those are stakes. You can argue about how effective they are all day, but those are stakes. You understand that there are consequences if we don't win this fight. And you sit here and you think, when you see that city start going down towards the planet at high speed, you understand, like, oh crap, this thing is actually like headed towards the Earth, and there's no solution that you can immediately think of, like, what are the Avengers going to do about this? So you automatically feel some kind of, what are they going to do? That's good stakes. I never felt that way in Avengers. It's like, oh no, like there's a scene in Avengers 1 where everybody's getting tired, so the aliens start getting shots on them and start ganging up on Hulk. But you never feel like, oh, they're not going to win this, or there's no way they can win this. It's like, dog, y'all are superheroes. Like, nothing is about to blow up or anything. Like, I never felt like the nuke was going to blow up New York. So, those stakes alone just elevate this ending much higher than Avengers. They didn't play it safe. They could have just said, okay, Ultron's going to invade New York again, because New York is where all the bad guys go. They fight all the Ultrons, they kill the Ultrons, they kill the Ultron, and the fight's over. That's it. But that's not what happened. They didn't play it safe. Joss Whedon did not play it safe. He added on, he made stakes, he made a story. And in the end, they end up destroying the entire city as a solution. We get this beautiful scene at the end with the very last Ultron talking to Vision about human existence. And it's a really nice conversation before Vision kills the last Ultron, which kind of puts a bow at the end of the movie. Even though there's a lot of crap inside the box, the bow is pretty, right? But in conclusion, what am I, a scientist? Anyway, finishing up, I realized there were two main things that Ultron had going for it that I enjoyed more than the Avengers 1. The first thing being the fact that Avengers 1 was honestly a prototype in my eyes. It was the first time a team up of that magnitude in the superhero world had been made, and they really just wanted to play it as safe as possible, follow a lot of cliches, make a lot of jokes, so on and so forth, and they just wanted people to like it. They just did everything in their power to make this not a flop. They didn't try too hard. They just kept it cool, did what they need to do for this to just please everybody, and it worked. Ultron, on the other hand, took more chances, for better or for worse. It had a darker tone, and I gravitated to that more. I gravitate to movies that try a little harder, even if it might be in vain, than movies that try to play it too safe, if that makes sense. And the second main thing being the villains. It really hurt Avengers 1 in my eyes, especially in first viewing, that Loki was always the main villain through the entire movie. Like, Thanos gets teased at the very end, which is just funny because you barely ever see him in phase 2 after this. And then obviously he literally is just not important until really Infinity War. But Loki himself is just not a villain. And he doesn't strike me as a villain. He doesn't put fear in my heart. He doesn't make me think the heroes are in trouble, or he has this giant plan that's going somewhere. It doesn't do anything for me. Ultron, on the other hand, is he's literally made in the MCU to be a dark side of Tony. So he makes kind of the same, he has the same mannerisms as Tony. And he wants to do the same thing Tony wants to do, protect the world, but he has a very twisted way of how he thinks that should be done, which is by eliminating humans. That's interesting in itself, and that by itself is not playing it safe, and that's very villainous. We can talk about him not being a physical presence all we want, which is fair, but neither is Loki, so they kind of cancel each other out there. But James, not to take anything away from, oh my God, I can't think of Loki's actor right now. I like that guy. Please hold. Not to take anything away from Tom Hiddleston, because he's an amazing actor and he's an amazing Loki. But it's just the fact that the character he's not a bad guy at heart. Ultron is a bad guy in his metal heart that Wanda crushes at the end of the movie. And it kind of is that simple. And so with all of that being said, I said a lot of crap, but with all of that crap being said, I hope that it's at least understandable where I'm coming from. If you don't feel the same opinion, leave a comment. I want to know what you think about it. Either way, I love both of these movies, what they've done. I like Infinity War better. Infinity War is a masterpiece, but that's for another day. Hope everybody's having a good day and has a great day. Stay optimistic, stay cool, drink water, and wash your hands. See y'all later.